hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Fullstack Network. Um, Today wasn't a planned stream. Like I said yesterday, I did not. Today was supposed to be off, but I got an email today that made me really really happy from one of the members here in this community that basically said that he got a job, and he basically said like he got a job, and he attributes most of it to the stream. And I'm not like trying to be overly kind of showering compliments on myself. I'm literally like quoting from the email. So this email really really made my day. And as you guys know, everybody that watched the stream, this is why I do it. You know, I do it so people can have an environment where they can test their skills in a more friendly environment. And I also do it so people can see what is it like to be like the real life of being an engineer. So it's going to be a short one because we only have one interview today. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I know it's late for Eastern time. I could only do it at 9 because as you guys know, I am my family came back today, so I couldn't do it earlier. All right, so let me dial him in, and let's not waste any time. Okay. So I'm gonna dial him in and see what happens. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
You are live now.
Okay.
And we have about 18 viewers and me, so no pressure there.
I specifically didn't open up the stream just so I
No,
wouldn't say anything.
exactly. So don't, because you shouldn't be watching the chat, because people judge pretty hard.
I would assume so. I don't want to. I don't want to see that. I just want to see the VOD
No, but let me
afterwards.
but let me tell you this though. You cannot fail more miserably than I myself failed yesterday. Okay, and let me leave it at that. I'm telling you this: you cannot fail more miserably than I did yesterday. So whatever you do, you'll be better off than I did yesterday. Okay, so
All right.
so don't worry about it. Uh, yeah, people are already laughing at me. People are already laughing at me in the chat. So what? So
Everybody has their off days. It's all right.
no, man. This was beyond off. Um, this was beyond off. Okay, so I sent you a code bunk, which is basically kind of a shared environment where we can both print and run the code. Okay, so how do you want to start? Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Do you want to how you just want to jump to the problem? You want to listen to the rules? What do you want? I mean, whatever you want.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest here. Like, I've never seen your stream, so I just came off of a recommendation because I recently came back to my apartment and my friend was mentioning that, hey, like, dude, this guy does mock interviews and he's actually pretty good. You should hit him up.
Oh, thank you.
It's like, well, it's
Okay.
like, well, I mean, if he does them, like, please send him a message. Let him know that I'm interested.
Yeah. So that guy basically is the guy that emailed me and asked me to kind of do an off stream and interview you, and I accepted. So let me kind of walk you through how it goes. It's an interview like any other interview. The only thing that is different is that I have no vested interest. And that can be good and that can be bad. Basically, there is no job at the end here.
Right.
Thank you for the follow. So there is no job at the end here, but there is also not the shame involved in like failing. So there is no you passed or you failed at the end. What I will tell you is I will give you the feedback, and I will tell you whether I specifically would pass you on. I have zero guarantee that that will be the outcome of your real interview, right?
Right. Of
Um,
course.
so just to kind of put the expectations out there and everything, and I like today the role that I take is as an interviewer, and that means that I will leave you hanging until the point where I feel you're stuck. In which point I will throw you a rope, and it's up to you whether you catch it or not. We also, here on the stream, we also do more of a like a mentoring sort of. um, we do kind of a mentoring sort of interview where I guide you more, but I think today is better because you have an interview soon. I think I'll better off take the job as an interviewer.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the code.
All right.
And I will give you your problem. Okay, so the program input is a number. So the number is going to be 1, 2, 3, or it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's going to be 100, 2, 3, 4, right? This is the input. Okay? The guarantee is that it's going to be smaller than 1 billion. Okay? Did I misspell guarantee again? I think I did. Yes, I think I did. I think so. Okay. The output is this: 123, or 1,000 234. Okay, so these, for example, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
So it's converting the numbered input
Yeah.
into text.
Into text, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So people in the chat are already yelling, and they want a little bit about your background and a quick introduction. So I have to supply the need for blood. So
All right. I can talk a little bit about myself, I guess.
yeah, you can keep
Well,
anonymity. Just it helps for people to know the background of like where are you in college, kind of jobs that you interviewed to, and classes that you took. You definitely don't have to give any details that will identify you. So
all right. Well, I'm a recent graduate, and I recently got my bachelor's in computer engineering. I've had interest in programming ever since high school. I took like my computer science classes there, and I pretty much loved robotics, which is why I went into the computer engineering route instead of the software engineer and computer science route. And the classes I've taken like typical comp sci 1, 2, but then I've also, as electives, I've taken computer graphics and um, artificial intelligence because the IoT and or artificial intelligence is like that. That really interests me. If we could combine those and do home automation with that, that that's the industry I want to jump into in the future. But for now, I mean, I have to develop my programming skills, which is why I'm just going for back end right now. Since it's nice, simple, it's Java based and also databases. Like I do have a little bit of knowledge of MySQL, but I want to develop that further. And then once I do that, go into front end and then become a full stack after.
Okay.
I mean, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. So that's great. People in the chat room, if you have more questions, then feel free to write them so we can ignore them. And now here, let's start.
Okay. Well, here I'm I guess this doesn't have like a notepad. Yeah, I'm gonna write a little bit on my notepad to plan things out real quick.
So the preference is to just like write it here in comments, because it really helps for people to kind of be interactive, for the viewers. So and for me as well, because I don't see your notebook.
Right. Okay. I guess I could just make like a little. All right. So, I mean, did you want me to talk? Because right now I have push to talk. So.
I would definitely turn off the push to talk, because what happens when you have push to talk, I don't know if you're on mute or not. So yeah, just like communicate as you would communicate in any interview.
Okay. Here, let me give me a second to change push to talk then.
Okay.
Okay, that should be it. All right. So my inputs are gonna. Is this gonna be always positive?
Always positive.
Okay, so my inputs are gonna be from 2, 0. Okay, so since my inputs are gonna be from 1 billion to 0. See how many zeros this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's gonna be 9 zeros. Okay, so since there's 9 zeros, I have to differentiate at least once I get to 100. Special cases are gonna be from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay. So I'm gonna have to do 1 through 9, 10 through 19, because those have teens in it. And then here, let me just write that down so I don't forget it. I'm gonna do 1 through 9, 10 through 19. So, yeah, because then it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, so then 20 through 99, 90. Yeah, then once I get to 100, yeah, then my hundreds are gonna be one of the 1 through 9 numbers. 100. Yeah. Then what about? Okay, so I have 1000s as well. Ends up. Billion. Okay. Yeah, then everything else repeats after that.
Thank you for the follow.
Okay. Hmm. All right. I think I have all the separate cases I have to test for. I just have to find out how I'm going to test each one. So. Modular work. So if I take modular, what kind of output would this give me? That's weird. Okay. All right. Oh, oh. All right. So take all the way up to that. Division or modular? Which one should I do? Um,
So, can you at this point, it's been I would say roughly about 5 to 6 minutes.
mhm.
So can you take a break here for a second, and explain your thought process to me? What is the direction you plan on taking to solve this problem? Do you have it established already, or are you still looking for it?
I was trying to, because I felt like I've done this problem before,
Okay.
but I think I used division last time that I did this. And essentially, I was gonna have increments of like 10, 100,000, uh, all the way up to 1 billion.
Okay.
And I use that so I could find out exactly how big the number is. So with division, uh, I guess I could, yeah, because if I use division from 1 billion, it's just going to give, and if it's the number isn't 1 billion, it would give me a decimal. So I could just check to see if the number would return a decimal, and then I can move on down to. So like essentially, I was going to take like let's say the 123 input, have it run through a division test of 123 divided by 1 billion, and then check to see if the number is a decimal. And if it is, that means that the number can't be a billion. And then I just keep going down until I get a whole number. Once I get a whole number, that establishes that it's at least that big.
Okay.
So I was just going to do like a whole top down approach.
All right.
Uh, but I was I'm trying to see if I can use the remainder, but I don't think I can use the remainder to do what I'm thinking. I think I'm just gonna have to go with the vision at first.
Okay.
All right, so is this input? I'll just make like a integer variable input and then just use it that way. 123 for now. Million, billion? Is that right? Is it okay if I check? I believe there's like a function called like is decimal
Yep.
in Java. I
Yep.
check to see if that exists. All right. Oh, wait. I could just do that. Why didn't I think of that? All right, now let's do that. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 1 million billion. Oh, but I gotta make this loop multiple times. That's right. So I have to find out how big the number is that way. Okay, I can just do this then. Okay, so the modulo does not equal the input. That means that the number is at least 1 billion. So then I could just add to the string output. And since my output's not going to be more than 1 billion, I can just hard code 1 billion here.
Just by the way, just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not relevant to the stage you're in. But I the output included end, so 124 and then 1234. You don't need the end in the string.
Oh,
Okay, the
okay.
output is just the numbers. Definitely not relevant to the point you're at right now, but just so it won't confuse
Yeah,
you at the end.
just okay. I'll do have to subtract it. No, I do have to subtract it from input. Thousand million billion. Mm. Okay. I'm gonna need a function to interpret what a number is. Okay, I guess I'll make a function off to the side after this. That's right. I need to make my function. I need to. I guess it would return a string. And then it would be hold on, maybe the top-down approach isn't the best way.
Okay, so at this point, I want to stop you.
Yeah.
And I want you to I don't want you to delete the code, but figuratively speaking, I do want you to delete the code.
Yeah.
And I want you to walk me through the approach that you're trying to take now, and what other approach do you think there is to solving this problem?
So, okay, so the approach I was taking was a top-down approach, where essentially I was going to check for, like I said, a billion. If the number equaled a billion, it would subtract the billion from the input, and then I would check the whatever was left after that. So I was gonna then move down to uh 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then if the number returned uh, the input, that would mean that it's uh, it's a number less than 100,000. But if it returned any other number, it would mean that it is 100,000 or greater.
Yeah.
So then I
Okay.
was
So,
going to subtract the 100.
but that would give you. So, what I want to ask you this would give you the range of the number you're dealing with. You still need to translate, quote unquote, all of the numbers in that string, right?
That's right. And that's I was going to make a function that took the number at that place and converted it. But then I just realized right now, well, what if it's like a number, um, 123, uh, 123 million or whatever, something like that, something that's not just like 100 million.
Exactly.
So that's where I just, because there's the other approach, like there's a top down approach, there's also the bottom up approach.
Okay.
So I would
But
just
don't you think whether you're taking the road from bottom up or the road from top down, I think you're still missing the subtleties where exactly it's this. It's like 123 million, or it could be 199,999,999, right?
mhm.
So, do you think there is a better approach rather than checking a modulu?
mm, well, yeah, I mean, I could convert, um yeah, I mean, I could convert this input into a string, and then knowing how many zeros there are, I'll just do 10 to the whatever, or at least that's defined range. Um, Hold on. So how do I convert that to a number? No, I don't. Hold on. Man, I can't believe I'm getting stumped by such a simple problem that I probably did in high school.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a simple problem, but that's okay. That's what we're doing this for.
hmm Okay, so let me write down some test cases then. Wait, why can't I look? Uh, oh, this class must be made. Okay, so if I were to do the thing that I'm thinking, so if I had like a number like 123, what I'd do is that's my 10 to the 0, that would return a 3, 10 to the 1, Oh, maybe that will work. Hold on. Let's comment out most of this code and write under it. Okay, so then if I
You wanna walk me through your thought process?
oh okay, so now I'm going to the bottom up approach, right? Um, and if I parse each number, uh, going from right to left, like I know my right is going to be 10 to the 0,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just going to be a simple number 3. And then what I'm going to do is make a function that because there's the special cases that I've written before are from like 1 to 9. I have to have those, and then the teens, which goes from to 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 19. But then after that is 20 to 99. Uh, Essentially, what I'm going to do is from right to left. So my right one is going to send it to this function. This function is going to convert that number into like the number 3 from the example 123. And then it's going to subtract 3. And then it's going to read the second input 2, that's 10 to the 1. So since it's 10 to the 1, my function is going to assign it a oh wait, either the special case of 10 to 19 and 20 to 99. That's something I didn't think of. Essentially what I was supposed to do was to take the second number, read it in, and if it's a 1, it would assign it a teen. If it's a 2 or 9, it would assign it a like 20 or 30.
Okay.
And then move on to the last number, at least for 123, where it would read the 10 to the 3, where it's I would reuse what I did for the 1 through 9 to assign it the 1, and then add 100 at the end. At least that's my thought process of doing this.
Okay.
String. So so to make it assign 0, when I'm at 3, I could have it. Could assign a temporary. so or at least there's a not the car. How do you get the number out of a character? Char to int Java. Get numerical value. Okay. So I would need the put string. Say
Thank you, Amit. Wow, thank you so much.
if the I don't want to write complicated statements. Is there any way I can just do it through multiple ifs? Okay. So if the power is equal to 9, that would make the number 1 billion. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'll return to that. So then if I do return, then I have to make special cases forward.
So what approach did you settle on?
I'm doing the bottom up.
Okay.
Although I think I'm gonna need more test cases for. I should just no, because I do want these separate. Yeah, I do. So right now I'm making each of these the teens like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and then I'm gonna do the 20s and then I think
Okay.
I
So
don't have to worry about
what I
these
want you to
left.
do at this point,
Mhm.
because we are, I don't know, like 38 minutes in.
Yeah.
What I would like you to do at this point, because we have, I don't know, like 7 minutes left, 10 minutes left. I want you to handle up to 3 numbers, so only up to 999.
999.
Yeah. So the number of the input is always going to be lower than 1,000.
Lower than 1,000.
Are you here?
Yes, yes, yes. Did I start that? No, I did here. Just do that then. Do teams next. Is that how you spell 90? Yeah, it's a 9 and a 2y.
Okay, so we have 3-4 more minutes.
Almost done. I just need to do last thing here. Okay, so that's the teams for 10. Shit.
Okay, so
Hmm.
let's go ahead and stop here.
Hmm.
We are 45 minutes in exactly.
Yeah.
And at this point, we should basically stop.
Right.
So, how do you think it went?
Uh, well, I think I panicked a little too much as far as having to think of all the instances of from 0 to 1 billion. But then once it got down to 0 to 999, it became a lot clearer what I should do.
Okay.
Um, so essentially, I I should have really revised what I had written down earlier. Uh, as far as like the special cases, I should have just immediately started writing those. Uh, and just right now, I realized how the what I would have to do to make sure that I get the either the 10 to 19 right or 20 to 99 right. I would have to like look at the number. If it's a one, I'd be okay. Well, if it's a one, it's a teen. If it's two or more, it would be a 20 or a 30 or something like that. Um, and that would just be like a simple test case up here in my number to string, which I didn't get to finish, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But then something that just came up right now is that, oh well wait, like if that were the case, I would also have to take into account the next number from the number
Yeah.
from the next digit. So what I would do is I would, during those special cases, also check the next number, and if the next number is like if it's two, it would be like a 12, or if it's a one and a two, it'd be a 12, and then but the if it's under this 20 to 99, I would just do check the next number and then run my 1 to 9 and then add that number.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, all
Okay.
that came in like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Um, other than like the panicking, what do you think you did well, and what do you think you didn't do as well?
uh, what I think I did well is I, I did good in trying to break this down in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't do well is remembering that I broke that down and I should follow that rule. Like I clearly broke this down for a reason. Like I need you always have to break down a problem and then look at it and see how like, what steps are needed to fix the problem. And I immediately broke down the problem. Like I essentially been following like what I was doing down here as far as like writing the special cases down, but like I completely blanked out on it
Mm-hmm.
once I wrote it down, and that's what I did bad. Um, I feel like I should definitely pay more attention to what I write down.
Okay. So I think you pretty much nailed down all of the points that I wanted to tell you, but one, and definitely the most important one, communication.
Hmm.
Um, you were so quiet, and about, I don't know, like 15 minutes in, 17 minutes in, I try to tell you, look, just stop it for a second and explain to me, and tell me what to think. And then 5 to 6 minutes later, you were very, very quiet. And then I told you that again. And I actually like have those times noted,
Hmm.
where the time that I actually like told you about it. But those are only the time that I told you about it. But at no point did I feel confident that you are on your way to solve the problem.
Hmm.
And the and again, I tell everyone on the interview, and I can tell you that now as well. For most interviews, the point is not to get to a final solution. For most interviews, the point is for me as an interviewer to understand that you understand. And for me as an interviewer to not feel awkward at any point. And for me as an interviewer to understand your thought process. When you're quiet, I don't know if you're quiet because you don't understand the problem or you're quiet because you're thinking of a good way to solve it. You know what I mean? And those are two different things. And you don't need to, a lot of people, they go overboard. They like talk about every little character they write. But that's not the point, right? The point is to basically for me to understand what are you doing right now, right? I don't need you to tell me, hey, I'm doing the modulo 1 billion now, and this is for things that are over a billion. I know that. I can read code. But what I want you to do is like, okay, so now I'm going to write the conditions for the bottom down, the top down. Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that. Now, at that point, you can be quiet and write the code. But then there should be a pause, and now you tell me what is your next step.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think
to keep it a little active, right? Not
yeah,
just
but I mean, here it was extreme.
I did notice that I was very silent. I was just like, oh man, like how like I was trying to really think about how to do this. But
and that's okay, and that's okay. But communicate with me, because when you communicate with me, I will throw you bones. This like ping pong process is exactly the same process that will happen. When we work together, and I as a senior engineer and you as a junior engineer. But if I, what's going on? Thank you for the follow, Jagler. So again, that's the most important thing. That's the one thing I want you to take out of it. And I think if there is one thing that I could say, change this would be the one I will tell you to change. Okay? The second one would be to attack the simple problems first, because that creates inertia, and it creates a sense of movement in the interview. And let me tell you what I mean by that, right? So at some point during this solution, you needed hard-coded mapping of numbers to strings.
Yeah, and right? that definitely set me off.
But what I mean is if you say, oh, at some point I would need it, so let me go ahead and write it down first, so it will not, so it will not delay me later. Then definitely I would like, oh, okay, yeah, so this guy knows the problem, right? And then I would tell you, oh, okay, so that conversation would have lit light bulbs in your brain, right? But what happened is you go into the problem and you go in really, really cold, and then you hit a wall. So when you hit that wall, you can say, okay, you know what? Let me stop here for a second and write the mapping for the numbers, and I will come back to this later. And I would say, okay, yeah, go ahead, let's do that. And during the time that you write it, what I would do is I would tell you, oh, okay, yeah, so that's what you need for the teens, and that's what you need for the billions, and that's what you need for the millions. And that will create, kind of almost triggers to your brain to, oh, okay, this is how, and this is how, and this is how. So definitely watch that, right? So create the sense of momentum, as someone said in the chat correctly. The momentum in the interview is very important, and what happened here is that you tried to like swallow this in one chunk,
Yeah.
and that's never a good sign, because once you started, um, 5 to 10 minutes in, I knew this was not going to good places. Um, I unfortunately, um, you also did not communicate with me, so I couldn't throw you those bones and tell you, maybe attack this a different way, maybe attack this different way. You were basically, this is how I'm gonna do it, and then you were quiet for like 20 minutes, and then okay, so this is how I'm gonna do it, and then you were quiet for the rest of the 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that would be my uh, my feedback. But all that being said, I don't think you did not have the talent to solve it. I just think that you attacked the problem in the wrong direction, and when you couldn't create that momentum in the first 5 to 10 minutes, you started to panic, and that's when you started to talk really really quiet, and then at the end you just altogether you were completely silent.
Yeah. Yeah. I was pretty shut down for a majority of that. Unfortunately, you're right. I'll definitely have to work on my communications and speaking loud, uh, when I'm trying to think,
Yeah.
or what my plan is. At least every 5 minutes.
Well, I think every 5 minutes is way too long.
It's way too long.
Yeah, way too long. I would say that the cutoff would be 2 minutes.
Okay, so like every
For
two
talk. Every
minutes.
2 minutes, say something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even 2 minutes can be too long, right? But it's also a matter of what you're doing in 2 minutes. So if for 2 minutes you're writing code like you have that typing or writing, then that's okay, totally
Mhm.
okay. But if you're okay, let me think about it, and then you think for 2 minutes, dude, I'm like so uncomfortable at that 2 minutes, and you don't want me to feel uncomfortable, as your
Right.
interviewer. So I don't want to go into those 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes. What I'm saying is, if you have a way, then take a couple minutes to go down that path. But once you hit a wall, talk,
Mhm.
right? Just use, and someone is saying in the chat as well, use me as your rubber duck, right? Just like talk and talk and talk. And again, what I want to say is, you had the path, but at some point you started panicking, and then you lost it.
Yeah.
I think your well, both your bottom up or top down were valid, and to be honest, it's tomato. It doesn't really matter.
Right. I
But
think as soon as like I guess I panicked with the numbers. I was just like, oh man, this is such a big number, and then I have to think about it like numerical wise, and it's like, well, if I think about it bottom up, and I just treat this as a string, it's a little easier for me to digest strings than just whole big numbers, and with all the arithmetic in that.
so again, the way that I would approach this problem is that at some point I would have to handle a groups of three,
Groups of three.
right? At
Yeah.
some point I would have to handle a groups of three. So it's either 123 period, or it's 123,000, or it's 123 million, or the other ones, right? So when you say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I need to take care of it in groups of three, then what I would do, is say, oh, wait a second, this is numbers, right? It's easy to understand whether it's millions, thousands, or a billion. It's always groups of three. So if I have three groups of three, it's millions. And if I have three groups of three and another number, then it's a billion, right? And if I
Mm-hmm.
have two groups of three, then it's only hundreds of thousands. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Definitely didn't think about it that way, but I probably would have ended up realizing it, if I would have done the bottom up approach. Yeah.
So
in the
what
beginning,
what I
whenever
would
the
what I
billing
would
was
think
out.
is that you would get to it if you would write the mapping first. So first, let me
Right.
write like in words. Let me write down the mapping. Then you would see that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because that's how I saw how like I got to an impasse where it's like, wait a minute, like how am I gonna differentiate between like 11 and 20? It's like, oh, I immediately saw that once I wrote the mapping down.
Exactly. So if you would start with that, because at some point you would need it, there is no getting around it, right? And everybody in the chat was saying so as well. At some point, you will need to write a bunch of words. Um, and if you would start with that bunch of words, then you would see all of the um, potential problems in your implementation so early on that it would almost be just code to solve this problem.
Right.
All right.
hmm I have all this written down on my notebook over here.
Yeah, but again, so just 1 second. Um, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is this. It's hard. It's easy to take this feedback and say, "Oh, I did badly," but I wouldn't take that to this direction. Um, I think the points that you need to work on are simple points to work on. It's not like you're stupid. You know what I mean? Or it's not like, hey, you don't have the talent to do it. So I would say that go over lead code problems
hmm
and just talk through, like literally, just alone to yourself, talk through, and
hmm
see if what you say makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you, it will definitely not make sense to the other person in the room.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's
everything
actually a
you
good
need
idea.
to improve is coachable by you.
hmm
So start by attacking the simple things first to create the momentum, and then talk through and see if what you're saying makes sense, and just work through lead code problems. I would start with medium. I think easy will be too easy for you. I would start with medium and things that have less than 50% acceptance rate.
hmm
Start there because that's where the challenge comes in.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll get
cool.
on that a little later tonight.
Yeah, well, you use your time wisely. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a job, so I mean, I got all the time in the world.
Sure, man. Sounds good. Yeah, questions for me?
uh, no, I mean, you've like it's opened my eyes to see like exactly like what I'm having trouble with, and all the points that you said are so true. Like I had like definitely panicked, definitely closed down, and my friend told me earlier too. He's the one that like recommended like, hey, like you should definitely write down your approach. And I mean, I this is my first time because I never before have I like written down my approach. I always like, oh, I get into my CS class and then it's like, oh, okay, do this. I'm just like, oh, immediately start typing code. Uh, but just having written down the approach was definitely an eye-opening thing, and unfortunately, I couldn't use it uh, as I wanted to.
Well, you could have used it. You just so the
Yeah, I
thing is, you
just
said, okay,
blanked
let
out
me
on
let
it.
me let me write in the notebook, and then I And then I told you, no, no, don't use a notebook, just use it here because I want to see it. Then that's where it kind of, I felt it fell apart for you. And it's really like a minimal change. You know what I mean? And you can talk while you're typing. So in the interview as well, don't write in your notebook unless you're like literally leaning like next to me and you're showing me what you're writing. So you would
Right.
like write it down and say, hey, I'm doing this and I'm sketching this, what do you think of that? And I'm doing this and I'm sketching this, what do you think of that? And then again, there's like a process there, right? So don't just like
Right.
write in your notebook with, like in like during an exam in high school and just like draw things there. You know what I mean? So even to writing, there is almost like an understatement, like an underlined statement to writing. You know what I mean?
Hmm. But no, I think I'm gonna take what you've told me and what I have written down here in my notebook to heart, and I'll definitely try to improve my communication. At least the great thing is I talk to you now, and it's and since I've talked to you now, I have these notes. I'm not gonna go into my State Farm interview and just have this happen again.
Yeah,
Luckily,
exactly.
you've helped me catch it early on, and I can improve on that for this entire week.
Yeah, so definitely work on that. And again, what I will tell you, and that's what I tell everyone, the point is not to solve. If you solve, it's a bonus. But if you don't talk and you solve, someone is gonna fail you on that.
Yeah.
Because that also means that when I give you an assignment, you're not gonna communicate to me and tell me what are you having trouble with. And to me, that costs money. That's like millions of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating here. If you have two engineers in the company, just two, right? Think about it, just two. And they spend a day without telling anybody that they're stuck. Just multiply that day by those two engineers and think that they have 5 to 6 of these a month, which is not like far fetched, and just see how much that's costing you. That is costing a lot of money, just like a ton of money. And that's what companies care about, right? So I don't care about you not actually solving this, right? To me, and I say that with love, to me, you are still a child, right? So like you're gonna grow here, and if you didn't solve it, that's okay. But if you didn't talk to me through that, then that's not okay.
Right.
And if you showed me you had a way to the solution, but you failed to implement it in the 45 minutes and being nervous and being kind of pressed and stuff like that, then what I would do is I would cut you some slack with that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and
But again, don't take it the wrong way. Everything you did wrong is coachable and bypassable.
mhm. I'm definitely gonna work on my communication.
So if you will want another one, like I don't know, a couple days before your interview, then jump on the Discord channel and let me know. We'll likely be able to do that.
Okay. I don't actually have your Discord. Like, if you could send that to me, I would love to. I'd love to get like at least a couple days before the interview, maybe like two or something, to if you have any additional feedback.
Sure. So I'll send you the Discord link, and if you want, then we'll jump on another one like a couple days before your interview, and see if you
Sure.
improved.
All right. Well, thank you, and sorry, Twitch chat, that I'm bad.
No, no, you're not bad at all.
That you
Don't
were
worry about
bored
it.
for the last hour.
Don't worry about it.
Uh, I hope uh, I hope you kept you entertained.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Well, I guess I'll talk to you later then.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
What's going on? Thank you for the follow. Um, so I didn't really plan to do another interview, guys, to be honest. How many viewers do we have now? Um, okay, so I have a technical whiteboard interview in 13 hours. What is Monka S? Okay, so I really did not plan to have another one. But what is going on? What is chat saying right now? My goodness, you guys are. Ah, I forgot that. Okay. Okay, so what? Just hoping you could do another interview questions for preparation. So jump on the Discord, Feather Flower. Oh yeah, so Whiplash is interviewing right now. Let's see, Whiplash is interviewing. Someone told me. So if he is interviewing, then I will just auto host him. And I think it's Whiplash 1. Feather Flower, isn't it Feather Flower? Feather Full Follower or Feather Full Follower. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm bad with nicknames.
And kind of keep in mind how I updated the problem. So before they were all out of order, and now they're in order.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that you could take advantage of that by using binary search, but also kind of think further what you could do to take advantage of them being in order.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to end the stream. And Featherful follower or faithful follower. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. So Whiplash 1 is interviewing right now. I would definitely jump on his stream. Yeah, faithful followers. Sorry about that. So Whiplash 1 is interviewing right now, and I will end it, and I'm auto hosting him anyway. So jump on his stream. He is Feather follower -I. That's awesome. So I will see you guys on Thursday. Peace.